hear, when you were treated differently from people of your age and you grew up very differently, did you ever have that identity crisis moment in your life? And if yes, what were your thoughts and how did you come out of it?
Well, for me, going through school, it was always a comparison, and that was the danger. My teachers would compare me to the other students. And as you mentioned here, academically, it was a challenge for me. I was intelligent, I was smart, but they just couldn't measure that in the school system.
Right.
So, yes, I couldn't do maths. Yes, I couldn't do English. Yes, I was bad at geography. Yes, I was bad at language. All the things that they score you on, I was bad at. But when it came to doing other things, they couldn't measure that ability. They couldn't measure my social skills. I was very good at getting along with other people, but they didn't measure that. I was good athletically, but they wouldn't measure and reward that. So what happened to me was I would begin to compare myself to others. And I remember many times I'd say to myself, I just want to be like the other kids. I just want to be like the other students. I just want to get a good grade. I just want to get a bit of acknowledgement. And it was that constant comparison. And as I reflect on it now, as you compare yourself to others, eventually you end up looking down on yourself. You look down
Absolutely.
on yourself and you look up to everybody else, and you don't see your own value anymore as you go through that academic environment. And so that probably happened till I was around about 16 or 17, and then I got sick again. So just after I had 5 years of remedial therapy, I contracted Epstein-Barr virus and chronic fatigue, and then I got teenage chickenpox. So I was quite sick, and eventually I had to drop out of school altogether. And I remember just before I dropped out of school, I was 17 and I had a really nice first car. I'd worked really hard. I'd saved my money.
Woohoo.
And I bought an old car, a 1971 Datsun 1600. And it was $5,000. Now, other people in my school were driving cars worth $30,000, but mine was $5,000 and I liked it. And I remember one day I went to a party and one guy in my year, he was so jealous of my car that he took a beer and he poured beer all over my new paint job on my 1971 Datsun 1600. And at that stage, I looked around and I went, you know what? I actually don't want to be like these people. These people, now that I'm 17 and I can see myself differently, I don't want to be like them. I want to be an individual. So for the many years that I compared myself, just as I left school, I looked around and said, I don't want to be anything like these people. Thank God I grew up differently. I've just got to now figure out how I use this uniqueness that I've got. So yes, looking down, comparing myself to others.
You know what I can gather from your story so far is that because you had a very different way of growing up, and I think you always had that constant need of, I want to achieve this, I want to do my best, and I want to get on top of everything that I'm doing because people treat me differently, or maybe I'm different. So I think you always had that mindset, life is not that simple. You're not taking life for granted. It's for what I understand. And that's why you gave your best shot in everything that you did. And your learning was so different, but it definitely shaped you the way you are today. And you're doing so well from being a student who is, going through such difficult time, yet you're trying to, get on top of everything that a person needs while growing up. So